Texas football finally defeats Kansas State in Manhattan. Plus, volleyball brings home a win from West Virginia, and soccer takes their first loss of the season. All this next on College Press Box.
Welcome into College Press Box, the most comprehensive sports show on the 40 acres. I'm your host, Thomas Fitch, joined by Madison Hager.
On Saturday, the Longhorns ended a 16-year drought and brought home their first win from Manhattan since 2002. Playing Kansas State in Manhattan has been a trap game for Texas for over a decade, but Texas brought the heat to the Little Apple. Texas football has now won their fourth game in a row, making this their first time since 2012. Texas will head into the Red River Showdown 4-1. Let's head to Bill Snyder Family Stadium for the highlights. And to start off the game, Deshaun Jameson, with the punt return, will run 90 yards for a touchdown. Even the punter will try to come at him, but he will defeat him. This is not only the first touchdown of the game, but of his college career. Next, we have Sam Ellinger to Colin Johnson, catches it, fighting it out with Shelley, but the 6'5" receiver will win. Charles Omenihu forces a safety, will bring Texas up 2 more points. Texas will kneel it out to finish the game, and we have Tom Herman with the biggest sigh of 2018. Texas defeats Kansas State 19-14, and Texas will take on OU at the Red River Showdown this Saturday.
This afternoon, I was at DKR Stadium as Coach Tom Herman addressed the media ahead of Saturday's matchup against the Oklahoma Sooners.
Following a win in Manhattan last weekend, Tom Herman and the Texas Longhorns are looking forward to this week's Red River Showdown at the Cotton Bowl.
Excited for our fans, excited for our university. We understand, the passion and history and importance of this rivalry.
The Sooners edged out the Horns 29-24 last season, and this year's matchup is likely to be close again.
We're playing one of the top 5 teams in the country this week, and we're going to need to play our best at all times for us to stay competitive in this game. But as we proved last year, I think if we do, our best is good enough to be competitive.
For the Longhorns defense, the big question mark will be how to stop Kyler Murray, the electric Sooner quarterback who is top 5 in total offense this season.
He's really good, really good, and a lot of speed and talent at wide receiver too. So if we're going to expect to help our corners and our secondary as a whole, we're going to have to be able to generate a little bit of pass rush without blitzing all the time.
Thanks to a 4-game winning streak, the Horns are 4-1 going into the OU game for just the 3rd time since 2009. And Herman is confident that his players will keep the momentum going.
They'll handle it great. They handled the USC week great. They handled the TCU week great. And I wouldn't say there's anybody in that locker room that doesn't trust us. And there's nobody in that locker room that we don't trust either.
The Horns face the Sooners this Saturday at 11 o'clock on Fox Sports. From Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium, I'm Thomas Fitch, TSTV Sports.
Joining us in the studio tonight are football analysts Sean Mapes and Robert Trevino. Great to have y'all. Welcome back. After starting halftime with UT's biggest lead in matchup history, but only winning by 5 points, are y'all satisfied with Texas' performance against Kansas State? Sean, let's start with you.
I say you have to be satisfied but not impressed. I mean, it's always great to win in a place like Manhattan, Kansas place. You said it. They haven't won there since 2002. They look good early on, and they made some big plays in the first half. You saw the Deshaun Jameson touchdown, Charles Omenihu getting the safety. They had some trick plays up in there to get out to a 19-0 halftime lead. Could have been bigger. Ellinger missed some deep shots early. There's also a Lil Jordan Humphrey pass that also missed. But then Kansas State came back with Skylar Thompson, and that kind of sparked them, got a 14-0 run in the second half. But Ellinger made enough big plays down the stretch. Got a couple stops on defense to pull this one out.
Yeah, the win was satisfied in the sense that it was good to see the Longhorns actually get off to a good start. My main gripe and concern with them thus far had been starting the games off a little sluggish and having to play catch-up, but being able to go into Manhattan and start off with the first 19 points quelled some of those concerns. However, the fact that those 19 first-half points are the only points they scored is not encouraging. Looking back, it's hard to see that the Horns have put together a full 60 minutes of good football. And while they may be able to get away with that with teams like Tulsa and Kansas State, Kyler Murray and Lincoln Riley's offensive machine is going to be a much different story.
Definitely. Maryland was a tough game, Tulsa was a close game, USC was an emotional win, and TCU is always a difficult opponent for Texas. Sean, is OU the toughest test yet for the Longhorns?
Without a doubt. This team is top 5 quality. I know they're number 7 right now, but you got a guy like Kyler Murray putting up insane stats. He's a Heisman contender. They just replaced one, Baker Mayfield. Now they have another one. Lincoln Riley is one of the best coaches in the nation. NFL coaches go to Norman to pick his brain. That's how good of a coach he is. And this team's averaging 48.5 points per game. You also get the additional emotion that comes with the Red River Shootout in the Cotton Bowl. College game day is going to be there. It's definitely going to be the biggest game for the Horns this season.
Sure, Robert?
Absolutely. OU is the greatest test Texas is going to see the rest of the season. As Sean said, you have a guy like Kyler Murray, who might be arguably the greatest player in college football right now. This OU team is rolling. Even with that scare against Army, they've been winning games by an average of 25 points. You look at what this game means, not only in terms of the fierce rivalry between the two schools, but the implications this has for January. Right now, Texas has an 11% chance of winning the Big 12, according to ESPN's FPI. If they get by Oklahoma, that chance goes up to 23%. This game is the crux of the season, and it's without a doubt the toughest test yet.
Awesome. So with Oklahoma having a Heisman Trophy candidate who tied OU's single-game record by accounting for 7 touchdowns in the Baylor game, and with players stacked on both sides of the ball, Sean, where do you see that Texas has edge versus OU?
Well, Texas is definitely going to be in the best position when the Sooners' defense is on the field, not the offense. Just take a look at OU's overtime win against Army that Robert just mentioned. Army controlled the ball for 44 minutes on offense. You got to keep Kyler Murray and the Sooner offense off the field, on the sideline, and that would be, that would be advantageous. So when Texas does have the ball, it's got to be Colin Johnson and Lil Jordan Humphrey. You saw they've made the 50-50 touchdown catch. Colin Johnson, he made the diving touchdown catch against TCU. Lil Jordan also made some plays after the catch against TCU. Those kind of plays that can be kind of game-breaking plays, that's what you're looking for in a game where you're 7.5-point underdogs right now.
Exactly. Getting off to a good start and keeping control of the ball early is where Texas is going to have the advantage. Wearing down the defense over the course of the game, like Sean said, having the ball for 44 minutes, Army had it. And, forcing Murray to play from behind, that's going to put pressure on the Oklahoma offense. That's something that's been a foreign concept to them up to this point. Now, Texas's special teams have been big this year. Caden Sturds had that big blocked field goal against USC. Sean Jameson this past weekend, massive 90-yard punt return against K-State. They can use that to jumpstart themselves, and they should look to create something big in this game. That may very well be the difference in a close game against Oklahoma.
Great. And to add to the hype of this weekend, ESPN's College Game Day is heading out to Dallas, Texas for the Red River Showdown. It's the first time the tailgate pregame show has been on the site of the UT game since 2011. Sean and Robert, it is always a pleasure having y'all on the show. And when we come back, we'll head on over to Gregory Gym to check out Texas Volleyball's victory against Baylor. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back into College Press Box. On Wednesday, the 4th-ranked Longhorns hosted number 21 Baylor in volleyball and won 3-0 to get their second conference win. Junior Micaiah White led the Longhorns with 10 kills, no errors, and 9 digs. For more on this game, let's head over to Gregory Gym, where Daniel Shee has more.
Texas returns to Gregory Gym since the loss to Stanford and faces the toughest challenger in the Big 12. Texas's defense takes the spotlight during the game, outblocking the Baylor Lady Bears 12-3 and forces 25 errors.
We did a really good job of putting up a good block, and when you start putting pressure on teams with your block, then they try to do a little bit extra. And they were just kind of missing. A little wide here, a little bit more down the line, and I thought we put a lot of pressure on them from that side of it.
Texas followed the Stanford defeat by beating 2 consecutive Big 12 opponents. Sophomore Ashley Shook mentioned how the team was rediscovering their own identity during the past week.
Just focus a lot on bettering our touches. There's a lot of balls that we can control better, and I think we did that a lot better tonight, just with getting them more high up and down in the middle, and then we can run our offense, and that shows when we do that, because then our offense is just on fire. I think it's just really playing Texas volleyball. I think we didn't really play Texas volleyball in that Stanford game, and I think when we do the things that we do and communicate well, I think everything flows very smooth.
As Texas strive to dominate the Big 12 again this season, they also understand the challenges of being the favorites going into each conference games.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that people are going to play their best games against us, but I think that we want to just continue to focus on our side, and that's what we put a priority on, is knowing what we're going to do to defend them, but then just focusing on us as a team and what we need to do to win.
Texas will face TCU at Fort Worth on Wednesday, October 3rd, following by a home game against Iowa State on Saturday. From Gregory Gym in Austin, Texas, I'm Daniel Sheep, TSTV Sports.
We now welcome in Jocelyn Maldonado to break down the Horns play. Jocelyn, following the 2 losses to Stanford and a narrow victory over Kansas State, what kind of statement did Texas make in their game against Baylor?
Well, Texas had a good, solid game. Let's just simply separate this into the 3-point configurations needed in the game of volleyball: serve receive, hitting, and blocking. Serve receive, haunted by the detrimental second Stanford game, Texas' continuance on focusing on minimizing service errors was successful this game. Baylor that evening, however, had 14 missed service errors. Hitting, Micaiah White hit a .588, meaning no attacking errors whatsoever. And she was just named Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. Now, lastly, blocking. Texas defense shut down Baylor. They had a total of 33 digs and 12 blocks in comparison to Baylor's 2 blocks. So these two teams were 1 and 2 on the list, picked to win the Big 12 Conference. So Texas has definitely showed their persistence in bettering their defense, which ultimately allows more hitting chances and resulting in wins.
Yeah, over the weekend, the Horns also defeated West Virginia on the road, bringing their conference record to 3-0. It's a good start, but will Texas be tested down the stretch in Big 12 play?
They are 3-0 in conference play so far, so you ask, will they be tested? The short answer is yes. Even though they're 4-0 against unranked teams, they did lose 2 sets to Kansas State in the conference opening match. So the consensus here is that they will be tested on their ability to remain consistent through every match. They are the reigning Big 12 champs. So not only do they have a title to hold on to, but also a reputation in going far in the NCAA playoff tournament. And because they are reigning champs, teams are going to be coming at them with all they got to show what they're made of and prove themselves. Texas will need to not let adversity crack their clean-cut shell they have formed and continue to be consistent in winning and living up to their expectations.
Well, Jocelyn, great to have you on. Longhorn students, the best way to see Texas volleyball or any other Texas athletics team is to make sure you purchase the big ticket on TexasSports.com. When we come back, Steve Helwick and Cameron Parker look at some of the best college football games from this past week.
Hi, welcome back to College Press Box. This is Unhooked. I'm your college football guru, Steve Helwick. You can catch me here often on Mondays and watching 5 different TVs on Saturdays. But I'm joined by newcomer Cameron Parker here to discuss a lot of showdowns between undefeateds on Saturday. We had Notre Dame against Stanford in a 38-17 definitive victory. Clemson aimed to get its revenge on a 4-0 Syracuse team, and Ohio State and Penn State collided in Happy Valley in arguably the most intense finish of the college football this season. 14 undefeateds remain, but only one top team could survive in the whiteout atmosphere in front of a record-breaking crowd at Beaver Stadium. Highlights time, Cameron, take it away.
You feeling happy, Steve? Number 4 Ohio State, number 9 Penn State in Happy Valley. Tracy McSorley to Jawan Johnson. Reach back like 1-3, Jawan. What a grab. Let's watch this again. Penn State would go up 3-0 after this. Now up 6-0 here in the second quarter, pinned back in their own end zone. McSorley would find KJ Hamler for 93 yards. A really ugly first half so far. Ohio State only 68 total yards until Penn State would fumble on their own 24-yard line, leading to this J.K. Dobbins screenplay touchdown. You're going to see this again probably. Ohio State on the board for the first time and with some life. Now fourth quarter, Buckeyes up by 1. McSorley first and goal. Perfect pass to Fryermuth. Oh, yeah, what a throw and catch. Penn State back on top. Next possession from the 1-yard line. Miles Sanders. Yes, Penn State up by 2 possessions now with only 8 minutes left. Dwayne Haskins trying to lead a comeback. He's going to get bailed out here by Benjamin Victor, who somehow makes the grab and while also evading the entire Penn State defense. Ohio State, it's only a 1-possession game, and on the ensuing drive, Penn State would go 3 and out. From the 4-yard line, Haskins, can he lead the comeback? And yeah, another big gain off a screenplay. Ohio State had 90 total yards off screenplays this entire game. Dwayne Haskins now to KJ Hill, and Ohio State is going to silence Happy Valley. Penn State will get the ball back one more time. 4th down now for McSorley, and they're going to run a draw? Yeah. Chase Young, have yourself a game, young man. Ohio State is going to escape Happy Valley with the win. So, Steve, let me ask you, with this loss, is Penn State out of the college football playoff?
I think I'd have to say so, because I think in this year Penn State would need to win the Big Ten championship again in order to get there, and that looks very unlikely because that would require Ohio State to have 2 conference losses now. And with Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, and Michigan State still awaiting on Penn State's schedule, I think it's going to be difficult. Penn State really needed that win. They lose to the Buckeyes for the 2nd straight year in heartbreaking fashion.
They sure did. So do you think Ohio State is unbeatable in Big Ten play now?
They're not unbeatable. We saw last year Iowa beat them 55-31, so Ohio State can always have their moments where they fold. I don't know where it will come this year, but as Penn State showed, they were just 1 play away from winning that game. You can point to any play in the end of the 4th quarter and Penn State wins that game. So Ohio State's definitely not beatable, but I think the Buckeyes will continue their streak and win the Big Ten this season. But Ohio State, Penn State wasn't the only thriller that we got in Week 5. I'll go 100 yards in 100 seconds on some of the top games for this week in college football. Let's start with Clemson and Syracuse. Trevor Lawrence, a freshman quarterback for Clemson. Ugly hit right there. Trevor Lawrence goes down, which means backup quarterback Kelly Bryant will need to check in for Clemson. Oh wait, he decided to announce a transfer this week. That brings us Chase Bryce, the 3rd-string quarterback, and he is not looking good early, throwing an interception. Syracuse already up multiple possessions within the Clemson 40-yard line. Later in the game, Clemson muffs a punt. Eric Dungy for Syracuse, first try, no, second effort. Yes, Eric Dungy plunges into the end zone to give Syracuse a 10-point lead over Clemson in the 4th quarter. But Travis Etienne doesn't like upsets. Etienne's going to run to the end in the end zone, and Clemson inches within 3 points of Syracuse. Later in the game, Clemson gets a ball, and Travis Etienne's going to put the icing on the cake. 27-23, Clemson avoids a Syracuse upset again. Staying within the ACC, DeAndre Francois to Trey McKitty. Impressive catch in the end zone. Florida State trying to mount a 4th quarter comeback. 1st and 10 with Louisville, 99% win percentage. They decide to throw an interception on the 21-yard line on 1st and 10. What was Bobby Petrino thinking? And look, it's biting them in the back right here. As you can see, Nyquan Murray gets 58 yards, sheds off that Louisville 99% win probability. FSU is 3-2. Moving to Hawaii, San Jose State. Cole McDonald, FBS's touchdown pass leader, throws one there. Here, Cole McDonald, shovel pass, and Cole McDonald has an arm, EI overtime. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 overtimes. The most this season. Hawaii kicks the field goal and wins it 44-41 at San Jose State. Hawaii is now 5-1, off to their best start since 2007. I'd say we're seeing a lot of similarities to 2007. Just random teams being good this year. Kentucky's ranked. West Virginia's in the top 10. And Kansas has more than 1 win. But what do you think is the most surprising team this year in college football?
I would go with Kentucky. Mark Stoops, 6th year, he's finally getting the program running. I was a little bit worried how they respond to being ranked for the first time against South Carolina, but they went in there, they went at home and took care of business. So Benny Snell having a good year. I would say they're my surprise team so far.
Kentucky's definitely looked good. They've already had 3 really good wins over Florida, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. I think I'm going to have to go with Cincinnati on that one. A team that's been 4-8 each of the last 2 seasons now has the 2nd best defense and points per game in college football. The Bearcats are 5-0 and looking good. College football will return in week 6, where game day will head to Texas and Oklahoma. We'll have coverage on that next week. But we'll be right back right now as we dive into some analysis from Henry Corwin and Kara Sherman from the Joe DeMayo Center in Austin. You'll want to check out their freestyle analysis.
Welcome back to College Press Box, and thank you again for tuning in on this Monday night. This past weekend, Texas soccer continued Big 12 play and tied against number 13 Oklahoma State on Friday 1-1 and received their first loss of the season to TCU on Sunday. OSU took an early lead with the help of a Texas defender who headed in the ball. Junior forward Sierra Hinson came to the rescue and scored her league-leading 9th goal of the season to tie up the game. The TCU game was more of a difficult battle for Texas, making this their first loss of the season. TCU had 8 shots on goal while Texas only had 1. Texas goes back on the road to take on Iowa State in Ames this Friday.
It was a very impressive weekend for freshman tennis player Chi-Chu Huang as he took home the singles title of the A Draw at the Rice Invitational in Houston. On Friday, Huang advanced to the semifinals of the Rice Invitational as he registered 2 wins. The next day, Huang battled back from an early deficit to advance to the finals. In the championship game, despite losing the first set, Huang won the next 2 sets to bring home the championship. Elsewhere in Tulsa, after a first-round bye, senior Colin Marks won 2 matches at the ITA All-American Championships. 4 players are slated to play in the qualifying singles later in the week.
Women's tennis had themselves a weekend. Junior All-American Bianca Tirati dominated the 15K Hilton Head in South Carolina. Tirati started by winning the round of 32 singles match and then the Thursday winning the round of 16 singles match. Tirati advanced to the semifinals on Friday, which led her to capture the singles title at the ITF 15K Hilton Head Pro event, where she posted a straight set win against Michaela Bayerlova in Sunday's final. Other members of the women's tennis team posted 6 wins on the day 1 of the pre-qualifying at the Riviera ITA All-Americans and will continue to play in California this Tuesday and Wednesday.
Women's golf shot a school record 28 under par at the Schooner Fall Classic this weekend in Norman. They finished second in the event, with 14 of the 15 rounds being played in the event coming in at par or better. Junior All-Big 12 Emily Hoffman tied for 5th overall with an 8 under par 205, tying the second best 54 score in program history. The 6th-ranked Longhorns will return to action on October 19th through the 21st when it hosts the Betsy Rawls Invitational at the UT Golf Club.
On Friday, our very own Henry Corwin and Kara Sherman headed out to Lee and Joe Jamal Texas Swimming Center to check out the orange and white meet. Here's the story.
While several Texas teams have failed to live up to expectations in the past half-decade, there's one team that has satisfied its fans time and time again. The men's swimming and diving team have won 4 consecutive national championships. On Friday, the team split up for the annual Orange and White scrimmage at the Lee and Joe Jamel Swimming Center to get back in the swing of competition and prepare for what lies ahead this season as they look for their 5th straight title. According to freestyle swimmer Drew Kibler, one particular strength sticks out about this year's team that can help them defend their crown.
An extremely large freshman class this year with a lot of talent. There's always a very good freshman class, but this year it's especially big and talented, and I think it's going to bring a lot of young excitement to the team. The leaders on this team are incredible. There's just great leadership from top to bottom, and I think we have a lot of momentum after the past 4 wins. We're just going to carry through to this NCAAs.
The freshman class have made such an impact early on that even the veterans of the team are taking notice.
It was great to see how fast everyone went. Especially the freshmen, they killed it. Like I said earlier, the breaststroke, and then Danny went in the 50 and the 100, and Drew went in the 500. So it's looking really good for this spring.
The team begins their quest for 5 in a row on Friday, October 19th against Indiana. For College Press Box, I'm Henry Corwin. Now, back to the studio.
This week in Longhorn sports on Wednesday, Texas volleyball goes to Fort Worth to take on the TCU Horned Frogs 8 o'clock on ESPNU. On Friday, soccer will travel to Ames, Iowa to take on the Iowa State Cyclones at 7 p.m. On Saturday, football takes on Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry, 11 a.m. on Fox. And prior to that, College Game Day will be live from the Texas State Fair at 7 a.m. on ESPN. Also, Saturday volleyball will host Iowa State at 6 o'clock on Longhorn Network. On Sunday, soccer will travel up to West Virginia where they will play the Mountaineers 12 o'clock on the Fox Sports Networks.
And that wraps up our show for tonight. From all of us here at TSTV, thank you for sticking around on your Monday. Be sure to tune in to College Crossfire on Wednesday night for the best sports debate on the 40 acres. From everyone in Master Control and in the studio, I'm Madison Hager.
And I'm Thomas Fitch. It's currently 9:30 and OU sucks. Have a good night.